Hi everybody, welcome back. My name is Maya and I'm here to talk about more books, specifically about books that you can read in the winter. Because it's January, it's dreary, it snowed outside today. It's very like the January vibe for me. It's just very quiet, very still. A lot of time ahead of you, like the entire year is ahead of you. And just there's a certain stillness and like time sort of flows differently in January. At least like that's the vibe I'm feeling. So I thought maybe if you need a companion to get you through these quiet days, you are at the right place, because I've got a stack of books in front of me that I feel like work perfectly for that. So yeah, I think we can just get into the books. The first book that I actually specifically thought this would be the perfect January read is The Memory Police by Yoko Ogawa. And this is a very popular book. It was a finalist for the International Booker Prize at some point. And I read it last year and I really, really enjoyed it because there's just a quietness, a calmness, like everything feels very still in this book. But basically we follow this unnamed island and things keep on disappearing throughout the island. And then we follow a female main character who is a writer, and she starts to resist this forgetting, this like societal forgetting and the enforcement of that forgetting through the memory police. She starts to resist that by writing down the things that she's not supposed to remember. This book talks a lot about loss, obviously, about what makes us in a sense, what like the way that things around us, objects and passions and everything gives us a sense of identity, and what happens if we lose all of that. And it was really good. It feels just very, yeah, I'm gonna say like quiet so many times in this video, but it feels like a very quiet book. Everything's very hushed, very secretive, but also just the surroundings, everything quiets down. It was so good. So yeah, if you really want to embrace this like January calmness and stillness, then I could really recommend this book for this time of year. The next book that I want to talk about is none other than The Secret History. Yes, by Donna Tartt. The Secret History. I read this a few years ago and I did really enjoy it. I had a bit of a wrong idea what it was about, but specifically in hindsight, I really enjoyed this book. This is a long book. It doesn't look that long, but the pages are really thin. This is like 600 pages. That's crazy. And it feels like it, let me tell you. It drags on, but I feel like it works. Sometimes books need to drag on because like literally January and winter, this should be dragging on. So I get it. Donna Tartt was literally like, I don't know, putting January into a book with this one, because it really, at some points, I was fighting to get through this. But don't let it keep you from reading it, because it was really so good. We follow a group of friends in an academic setting, and a very also like elitist academic setting. And this happens on the very first page, we find out one of them dies. And we sort of follow these people and the story unravel, and like their relationships and characters like deteriorate and rot in a sense. And I remember very vividly like one description of the cold and of snow and everything. And I can read you the very first sentence of the prologue. It says, "The snow in the mountains was melting and Bunny had been dead for several weeks before we came to understand the gravity of our situation." And it really is great. It truly is, I feel like at this point, a modern classic. Or like a contemporary classic, more like, not the modern period, but a contemporary classic. Yeah, really, I mean, people know this is a very famous book. And I feel like a book like this, which might be quite intimidating, fits perfectly into January to sort of, because there's nothing going on anyways. You can read this, and then there's also like this silent dread throughout the entirety of this novel, which also fits quite good into the month, I feel like. So yeah, actually I might reread this month. The next book is another big one, and it's The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. Yes. Firstly, this cover screams January for me, especially this color specifically. But yeah, this is such a good book. It's been years since I've read it, but I love it. I still think about this from time to time because it's such a good story. Basically, we start this book in 1714 when Addie, our girl Addie, she ain't happy. She wants things to change. She is like, this cannot be like my life. So she strikes a deal with like a shady figure. I can't even remember if we ever know like what that figure is. I don't even know. But basically the deal is that she will live forever. Yes, but as she finds out, living forever in this case means that nobody will ever remember her. Ever. Like, she will have a normal conversation. Addie and me, we're just talking. She'll walk away. I've forgotten her. Like, she can have interactions with people. It's just as soon as she leaves, they forget her. And I mean, we follow her throughout the centuries, and then other things happen that I don't necessarily want to like spoil, even though it does say on the back. But I feel like going into this like a bit more unknowingly is quite interesting as well. But it's heartbreaking. I mean, it talks a lot about identity and identity with the loss of others' perceptions. Like, who are you when nobody is watching? Sounds so epic for some weird reason, but who are you if nobody is there to remember you? Like, who are you with the lack of any other people, impressions, perceptions, and everything? So yeah, it's obviously like quite interesting in that regard, but then it's also written so beautifully. I remember the writing felt like this cover as well, just beautiful, at least I think. I'm sure, honestly, and I really loved it. It feels also perfect for January. Just, I don't know, a way firstly to really escape. You can truly just dive into this book, escape into it. V.E. Schwab, she will grab you and tear you into a good story and you'll love it. But also I feel like this, again, you have this like unsettling but also like quietly heart-wrenching story throughout the centuries, which fits perfectly for January. So I want to reread every book on this list, I swear to God, but I will reread it at some point because it was so good, so good. The next book is one that I've read quite recently, and that is The Vegetarian by Han Kang. Now, me and this book, we were struggling at times because this is a very confusing book. This is basically a fever dream in a book, but also I loved it, but not for the book itself, rather for the message it was trying to convey, I guess. I don't even know, honestly. Basically, we have our female main character who decides one day that she is going to become a vegetarian. And then things start to go crazy. Like, all of her relationships are, I don't know, fall apart. She herself falls apart in a way. Basically, we follow her and her family, see what happens when you absolutely do not conform to society's expectations of normal and of human even, and of, I don't know, of alive, of how you live your life, which sounds very like not necessarily basic, but I feel like that's explored in a lot of ways. In this book, it's explored quite literally, in a way, and it's very intense. It's quite dark as well, but also, again, a very quiet kind of darkness. There is times where it's like it gets quite loud, I feel like, but just from the way it was written, everything feels somehow, at least to me, it felt somehow detached in a way. But really good. I read like, I had to read like 2 articles about this after I read it because I was like, what the fuck happened? But it also really talks a lot about like female bodies and bodies in general, but specifically female bodies under patriarchal control, and how, like, until what point is bodily autonomy accepted, specifically gendered autonomy. The pictures it portrays at times are very January coded, again, like dark, dreary, a lot regarding nature and plants, but also a lot regarding like isolation socially and physically and emotionally. And yeah, I think, yeah, it's really good. It's really good and would work amazing for January. The next book is one that I absolutely love, and that is All the Lovers in a Night by Miko Kawakami. I've already mentioned this once before, but me and my boyfriend went to a reading by Miko Kawakami, and I will never recover, ever. But I will mention it constantly and forever. But this was incredible. Firstly, I love the cover. Love it. But basically we follow a woman in her 30s, and she is, what is she? I think, yeah, she's a proofreader, a freelance proofreader, and she's very isolated. Again, she finds it very difficult to like connect with people, to establish relationships with them, and to sort of have a stable social network in a sense. And we follow her in this sort of isolated state, and then she meets a man called Mitsutsuka, and things start to change from there. In what way, I don't want to say, because I feel like not knowing anything in this, like going into this book was so great, but it was incredible. The writing was beautiful. It was just very quietly devastating, but it was just, again, this very detached writing style, which I feel like fits perfectly for January. And this just moment in your life where you're like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. Where do I want to go? What is happening? How do I even live right? I mean, we all wonder. We all do. Especially in January, I feel like New Year, you're like, what the fuck is even going on? And that is basically just this book. So if you want someone to like take your hand, be like, you're not alone in this, girl. It's her. She's here for you. The next one is a Murakami. I mean, I had to put a Murakami book on here. This is After Dark by Haruki Murakami, and I bought and read this in Tokyo, which is so cool because this takes place in Tokyo over one night. I read it in Tokyo over one night. That was so good. But basically, it's a Murakami. I'm reading a Murakami book right now, but this man, he takes time and he makes it flow in a different way. He will literally slow down time. And that fits for January. As I said, it's a long month. It fucking takes forever. Like eternal winter kind of style. And Murakami is sort of like in this way also, like everything slows down when you read books by this man. This one is very short, but I feel like I could have picked any book. This one I feel like just works because you have like one night, and January's dark. It's fucking always night almost. So yeah, but as I said, I could have picked any Murakami book. But let me just read the back, because trying to explain the plot of a Murakami book is absolutely impossible. Eyes mark the shape of the city. The midnight hour approaches in an almost empty diner. Mari sips her coffee and reads a book. But soon her solitude is disturbed. A girl has been beaten up in the Alphaville Hotel and needs Mari's help. Meanwhile, Mari's beautiful sister Eri lies in a deep, heavy sleep that is too perfect, too pure to be normal. It has lasted for 2 months. But tonight, as the digital clock displays midnight, a hint of life flickers across the television screen, even though its plug has been pulled out. Strange nocturnal happenings or a trick of the night. I don't know. Read it and find out, I guess. Yeah, but basically Murakami writes magical realism books. I feel like this would work very well for January as well. And the next one is probably my favorite book that I own, not necessarily from the contents, but the book itself, like cover and everything. And it's Mary Oliver Devotions. Beautiful. You can see I'm not even finished with this, but look at this. I got this at Shakespeare and Company a few years back, and I am obsessed. This is a poetry collection by Mary Oliver, and I do not read poetry usually, which breaks my heart. I wish I would, I just don't. But this woman is a genius. She takes words and transforms them in a way that, I don't even know, it makes you see the beauty in the world again. I am so serious. Like, the poems in here are incredible. And I'm not like, I've not read that many poems, but these are the best ones that I have read, for sure. These are so beautiful. If you enjoy nature writing and like seeing beauty in the world and wonder and just all the intricate details of the natural world, this is for you. And I feel like you need this. You need this in January. Let Mary Oliver remind you that there's beauty in the world. It's not just all gray skies. It's everything else as well. And this woman, she'll get you through it. She'll get you through the winter. She'll get you through anything. I can read one poem for you because so that you will understand what I'm talking about, because I cannot explain this genius well enough. And this is one of my favorite ones out of here. It's called Stebbins Gulch. By the randomness of the way the rocks tumbled ages ago, the water pours, it pours, it pours, ever along the slant of downgrade, dashing its silver thumbs against the rocks or pausing to carve a sudden curled space where the flashing fish splash or drowse while the kingfisher overhead rattles and stares, and so it continues for miles. This bolt of light, its only industry, to descend and to be beautiful while it does so. As for purpose, there is none. It is simply one of those gorgeous things that was made to do what it does perfectly and to last as almost nothing does, almost forever. Girl, read anything by Mary Oliver and you'll be fine this winter. I am so serious. I can be quick about this one. This is Solar Storms by Linda Hogan. I've talked about this already. Basically, we follow Angel, who comes back to her homelands and gets reintegrated by her female elders into indigenous knowledge, indigenous ways of life, indigenous engagement with nature and living with nature. It gets very dark at times, but it also is very hopeful and just beautiful. Like, the writing is beautiful. It took me a while to get into, but then as I did, I absolutely loved it. Absolutely one of my favorite books I've ever read, probably. Absolutely beautiful, absolutely heartbreaking at times, but really talks about nature in such a beautiful way. I think this is so important to read, but also just very beautiful and very, written beautifully. Incredible book for January as well. And then the last book, which I don't own physically, I do own physically, but I lent to a friend. So I've written a note in my notebook, is Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead by Olga Tokarczuk. Basically, we follow Janina, who is an older woman, and she takes care of the summer homes in a remote Polish village. and it's winter, deep winter, like fully everything's snowed in. It's so cold, and she spends her time studying astrology, translating poetry, living her life. And then people start to drop dead, and we just go on from there. This talks a lot about how older women are perceived, how we almost like how there is a lack of taking old women seriously, older people in general, I feel like, but of course also there's a gendered aspect to it. So yeah, older women in this case. And it talks a lot about the rights of animals, of nature. And then there's this mystery to it, and it's set in deep winter, somewhere in a remote Polish village, and it was incredible. I read this probably 4 years ago, and I still think about it so often. So if you're interested, go grab it and enjoy, because it was really, really good. Those were all the books, all the companions that I can send out into the world in case anyone needs a companion in January. I know I do, which is why I will probably read one of the books here, and why I'm currently reading a Murakami book. But I hope maybe you found some interesting new books in this list. I hope that you get through Winter okay and through the dark and everything, but I hope it's gonna be good. I hope you'll just take it, embrace it, make it cozy, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye!